Article 1 of the United States Constitution describes the powers of Congress, the legislative branch of the federal government. The article establishes the powers and limitations on Congress, consisting of a House of Representatives, composed of representatives, with each state gaining or losing representation in proportion to its population, and a Senate composed of 2 senators from each state. This article details the manner of election and qualifications of members of each House. It outlines the legislative procedure and enumerates the powers vested in the legislative branch. Finally, it establishes limits on the powers of both Congress and the state. Article 1 of the United States Constitution has 10 parts or sections. Within each section, the article is broken down into even more clauses. Section 1 of Article 1 is known as the vesting clause. It vests all legislative powers herein granted to the Congress shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. The clause gives the Congress of the government's power to make laws. There are similar vesting clauses in Article 2 and Article 3, which give powers to the other branches of government. This means no other branch is allowed to exercise the same power. This establishes the principle of separation of powers. The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of several states. Section 2 of Article 1 gives information about the United States House of Representatives. This part of Article 1 says that there will be elections for members of the House of Representatives every second year. These representatives are voted in by the people, meaning the citizens of each state will choose the representatives. Any representative who decides to run for a seat on the House of Representatives must be at least 25 years old and must have been an American citizen for at least 7 years. He or she must also live in the state that he or she wishes to be a representative for. Section 3 of Article 1 describes how the Senate should be. This section states that there shall be 2 senators for each state, and they will have at least 6-year terms. In order to be a senator, a person has to be 30 years old and must have been an American citizen for at least 9 years. He or she must also live in the state that he or she wishes to be a representative for, or a senator for. Each senator shall have 1 vote. Section 3 also provides that the Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall only have a tie-breaking vote. The House of Representatives is given sole power over impeachment, while the Senate is given sole power over the trial of impeachments. Section 4 of Article 1 explains that the states have the power to determine where, when, and how elections will be held for senators and representatives. This section also states that Congress must meet at least once each year, and this meeting must be on the first Monday in December. While the initial date was set, the 20th Amendment changed that they must meet on the first Monday in December. Section 5 of Article 1 talks about how procedure should be for each House of Congress. This includes the qualification of its members, the rules they must follow, how to keep records for what happens, and how a House can adjourn. Each House can determine its own rules, assuming a quorum is present, and may punish any of its members. A 2/3 vote is necessary to expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings from time to time, publish this journal, and neither house during a session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days. Section 6 provides that members of Congress shall receive salaries and have a limited privilege from arrest during the sessions of Congress and immunity for any speech or debate in either house. The section also provides that no member may simultaneously serve in Congress and be appointed to any other civil office under the authority of the United States, and also may not serve in any such office which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall be increased during a member's term of office. Section 6 of Article 1 looks at the privileges, restrictions, and compensation of anyone who is a senator or a representative. These civil officers get paid by the Treasury of the United States. They cannot be arrested unless it is for a felony, treason, or a breach of peace. They cannot take an office in the executive government while they are still in Congress. Section 7 of the article explains how Congress can make acts through bills. A bill can start either in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. Once the bill is passed in both houses, it can become a law. After it is passed, it will go to the President, who can let it pass or choose to veto the bill. Section 8 of Article 1 gives the enumerated powers of Congress. The enumerated powers are a list of items that Congress is specifically allowed to do. Examples of these powers include making money or setting up taxes. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay the debts and provide for common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. It can also borrow money on credit of the United States, regulate commerce with foreign nations among the several states and within the Indian tribes. It can establish a uniform rule of naturalization, uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies through the United States. It can coin money, regulate the value of thereof, and foreign coin, fix standard weights of measures, provide the punishment of counterfeiting the securities of a current coin of the United States. It can establish post offices and post roads. It can promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive rights to their respective written discoveries. It can constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court, define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offensive against the law of nations. It can declare war, grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. It can raise and support armies, can provide and maintain a navy, and can make rules for a government and regulation of land and naval forces. It can provide for a calling forth to the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insecurities, and repel invasions. Section 9 of Article 1 is a list of limits on the powers of government. For example, Congress cannot create any titles for royalty, like a king. Section 9 places limits on the powers of government and of Congress. This section provides that the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended except for when cases of rebellion or invasion of public safety may require it. It prohibits bills of attainder or ex pro facto laws, bars the imposition of taxes or duties on articles exported from the state, or granting the of preference to ports of one state over another. It prohibits civil officers from accepting titles of nobility without consent of Congress. This section also provides that no money shall be drawn from the Treasury but in consequence of apportions made by law, and that a statement of receipts and expenditures of public money shall be published from time to time. This section barred Congress from banning the import of slaves from abroad or laying duty of more than $10 on each imported slave until 1808. Congress banned the slave trade on January 1st, 1808, as soon as constitutionally allowed. Section 10 of Article 1 is the last section of Article 1. Section 10 limits the powers of the state. For example, the first part of this Section 10 says that states do not have certain powers that the federal government has. For example, they cannot create money. Section 10 sets limits on the states, reserving certain powers exclusively to the Congress. States are prohibited from, again, coining money or making anything other than gold or silver coin legal tender for payment of debts, or prohibited from entering into treaties or alliances, although compacts with other states are allowed with the permission of Congress. States are also not permitted to lay duties, keep troops or warships in peacetime with congressional approval, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in imminent danger. States are also barred from laying imposts or duties on imports or exports, except for the fulfillment of state inspection laws, which may be revised by Congress. And any net revenue of such duties is remitted to the federal treasury. Finally, states, like Congress, may not pass bills of attainder or ex post facto laws, nor grant any titles of nobility.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.